Hi guys and welcome back to Lex Alexis. This is another episode of Transfer Tuesday, episode 9 of the Championship Transfer Show. I'm going to give you my honest thoughts and reactions to the latest transfers that have taken place in this past week since my last Transfer Show video. And we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the latest rumours that we could start expecting to see in the next couple of days. As always guys, I want to hear how you think your club is doing in terms of its transfers. What positions do you want your clubs to go for? I'm really intrigued to hear how you find your club is going at the moment in terms of developing its squad. But as always guys, if you guys like what we see, please smash the like button. If we can get to 25 likes, that would be absolutely appreciated. If you can hit the subscribe button too, that would be amazing as we're trying to climb up to 4,000 subscribers. The viewer getting the shout out today is Bear Island TV. Make that what you will, but you are getting the shout out for today. If you subscribe to the channel, it is very likely that your name would appear next video. And if you guys can share the channel too, that also really helps too. But without any further ado, let's start the 9th episode of the Championship Transfer Show. We'll go through alphabetical order from each club. Bristol City have announced an outgoing of one of their goalkeepers, Stefan Basic. He has joined Strasbourg on a free transfer. I am not massively shocked with that. You've got Vitek, who has proven to hit the ground running at this moment of time. And then you've got, someone experienced like Joe Lumley, who was featured for Bristol City in their recent Carabao Cup games. So I think you've got two strongly experienced goalkeepers for Bristol City already, so I felt it made sense to trim the squad for a bit to give someone, Basic, who's still young, about 23 years old, a good experience out in France. Charlton, they've trimmed their squad quite a bit. They've actually announced 3 players out for club this week. So the first one, Gassam Hadme, who has joined Stevenage. I'm really sorry if I butchered the name, but what an impact he has had. He actually scored on his debut for Stevenage, and as if you're paying attention to League One, Stevenage are the only side to have had a 100% start in League One in their first 3 games. So amazing stuff already that Hadme is already making an instant impact for Stevenage. So would he be a life-saving transfer for Stevenage to keep up this amazing pace? He did for that one game. It'll be interesting to see how that transfer plays out for the rest of the season for Stevenage. Another outgoing, Kahim Dixon. He has left Charlton to join Crawley Town on loan. So Crawley down in League 2 at the moment, struggling a little bit for form. Crawley recently relegated from League 1, but have undergone major difficulties to cope with the relegation at this moment of time. We'll see if Dixon's arrival does improve things for Crawley Town in that point of view. And then most recently, Alex Mitchell has left Bristol City to join Plymouth Argyle. Plymouth need help at this moment of time. They are winless. In fact, they're pointless in this point of the season so far. And they've got some really tough games still coming up, Plymouth. They've got a really rough start to the season, I will say that. Defence is really what they need to work on. I mean, just recently, they conceded 3 against Lincoln City. And with other games, they conceded, 2-3 against Barnsley as well. So they're looking very vulnerable defensively. So will Mitchell solve all their defensive problems? I'm not sure. But I'm glad they've got more depth now in that defensive part. And for someone like Mitchell, who I thought was quite prominent last time he was in League One, I think he can show his quality as well. For Hull, they've actually made 2 signings. They've made 2 ingoings. So Hull looking quite ambitious. Brandon Williams has joined Hull. Now, with Brandon Williams, he actually was left without a club with the whole off-the-field issues he was having at his time with Ipswich. So I'm glad for Williams' point of view that he has found a club seemingly that they wanted in that position. He's still such a young player in his early 20s as well, so still lots of potential, and I think still a bright future if he can be integrated into the squad. And I think for someone like Hull, I think they can integrate him in. So I'm really pleased that Williams has been given a second chance in that point of view there. And then David Akintola, the Nigerian right winger, has joined Hull from the Super League side, Rizespor, I think is how you pronounce it, on a free transfer. So again, I think an interesting signing. Turkish Super League signings, I say, are a little bit hit and miss. I'm guessing that's, no coincidence that there would have been a connection to the Super League there with the current ownership for Hull. But yeah, we'll see how he gets on. So Hull, showing some ambition with getting 2 ingoings in this past week or so. It was quite a pivotal week for Ipswich Town. They lost 3 players this week, and as of today, recording this on Monday night, they've not announced any ingoings this past week. They've been linked with a few, but no concrete ingoings as of yet. I'm going to talk about 2 outgoings for now. Muric, the goalkeeper, who was the number 1 goalkeeper for a good period in the Premier League last season. He did drop a couple of clangers, to be honest. He has joined Sassuolo on a loan transfer, still in Serie A. I think this could be a good opportunity for Muric to increase his confidence just with a whole new environment. But then the one that really stings Ipswich Town fans is Omari Hutchinson. So my views on Hutchinson is a little bit disappointing in the manner that the sort of relationship ended, that he refused to play to get the move. Ultimately, if loads of clubs were interested in him, I don't think there was any doubt in my mind that Hutchinson would have been an Ipswich Town player this season, unfortunately. I just hoped that it would end a little bit better and Hutchinson maybe could have offered something for Ipswich's first 2 championship games, because they're looking quite light up front at this moment of time, and I think someone like Hutchinson could have been a good help within those first 2 games, but perhaps maybe not wanting to risk himself getting injured. He's joined a club now like Nottingham Forest, who I think will use him quite a fair bit, and with the consideration they lost someone like Alanga in that winger position in the summer, I think they could look at Hutchinson thinking actually they could use him to deputise that wide role. I mean, Forest did well in their opening fixture, of course, against Brentford, but now that Hutchinson has joined them, it does add an additional option going forward. So good for Forest, but from Ipswich's point of view, I think they're looking quite light on top at this moment of time. They've still got 2 weeks of a transfer window to try and resolve it, and they've got so much transfer money now from those outgoings of Delap, Hutchinson. You would say close to 80 million combined with those 2 sales, probably even more than that. So the options are there. I just would like to see a little bit more ambition from Ipswich to try and gun for those forward positions, because I think they are looking a bit low in that area at the moment. Middlesbrough, they announced 1 transfer, Sonty Hansen. 23 years of age, joining from the Eredivisie on an undisclosed free, another winger. There's already a song going around with Sonty Hansen as well, so he's clearly made a really good impact on Middlesbrough's debut against Millwall. Hansen already proving to be a popular character, with only been signed a couple of days before that game, so we'll see if he can maintain that sort of momentum and love throughout the entire season, but looks like a little bit of a bargain signing at this brief period of time for Middlesbrough. But they also announced that they have let go of Ram Vandenberg. I'm not massively sure with that. He was linked with so many clubs. In the end, he has joined Bundesliga side FC Köln on an undisclosed free, for what I know. 21 years of age. I mean, for him to already get a move to the Bundesliga after impressing like that, he's got a bright future ahead of him, and I just think it was going to be very difficult for Middlesbrough to keep hold of him, and it feels like to me that Middlesbrough have made defence-minded signings to try and cover for that. So I do think the balance of Middlesbrough squad is nearly ready actually for this season. I will probably like them just to ensure that they have lots of depth going forward and with their defence. Then I think Middlesbrough could be a potential dark horse for this season, because I've not seen many people predict Middlesbrough to do that well compared to their previous seasons. With Norwich, they have managed to let go of Brad Hills. He has returned to Stockport on an undisclosed fee. So he was with Stockport, I believe it was last season, but he's now joined them permanently. That I think is a really good deal for Stockport's point of view there. Queen's Park Rangers, we already talked about Richard Kone in the last video, but he is officially a Queen's Park Rangers player now. On an undisclosed fee again, centre forward position, so a good option going forward for Queen's Park Rangers. I think certainly I'm quite excited about the potential their attack has, but based on what I've seen with Queen's Park Rangers at the moment, the attack is not quite clicking at the moment, and just the entire team isn't. And I think that could just be down to a new manager effect, lots of new players integrating as well. I think Queen's Park Rangers will be one of those slow burner sides, which will start quite slow, but when things start to click, and especially with international breaks coming up, I think that will be the perfect time to get players to start clicking into place. So I wouldn't be too alarmed with Queen's Park Rangers' first 2 games at this moment, with picking up at 1 point out of a possible 6. Sheffield United, though, are the side I'm a little bit concerned, and they've not announced any ingoings since their tumultuous start to the season with 2 defeats in a row. In fact, 3 defeats in a row in all competitions. They have let go of Jefferson Caceres. He has joined Dunfermline, and he's Peruvian actually, and he's a left winger. So good signing for Dunfermline, who play in the Scottish 2nd Division, I believe. So don't think it's going to be a massive loss for Sheffield United. I didn't really see him getting many minutes, especially from last season to now. So I sense for this one, Sheffield United are going to have to certainly focus on defence. And I will be speaking about Sheffield United, about 1 or 2 players that they're linked with. So stay tuned, Sheffield United fans. There still may be hope in terms of defensive reinforcements. For Sheffield Wednesday, I'm always speaking about them, but not for any ingoings, unfortunately. It's another outgoing. Ryo Hatsuse has left Sheffield Wednesday. The left back has joined Gamba Osaka from the Japanese J1 League on a free transfer. For Swansea, they announced the signing recently of Malik Yaoukue. With all of these names, I'm really not too sure if I'm even saying them correctly. If I'm not, then just correct me in the comments. But he is a Brighton midfielder, which I think Brighton have been hyping up in terms of his potential. He's joined Swansea on loan. So I would say Swansea, I think, will need to enjoy the benefits of having someone like Yaoukue in their squad, especially when we think back to Brighton's recruitment strategy and developing younger players. He could be a real gem in the Championship this season. I would say keep your eyes on him. I think he could be a special player given in the right system. So certainly one to watch. Stoke City have been a team to watch for winning their first 2 games. The first time, I think, Middlesbrough won their first 2 games for the first time in 40 years. I think for Stoke's point of view, for the last time they won their first 2 games was when they got promoted out of the Championship all the way back in 2009. So really good times to support these 2 clubs at the moment. But for Stoke's point of view, they recently announced the signing of Lamine Cisse from Bastia, who I actually think I did discuss in my rumour section in last week's video. So it's good to see that rumour did actually officially materialise, and he has ended up in Stoke City. Should be an interesting signing, another attacking option for Stoke to rely upon, which is quite exciting. Watford, they announced the outgoing of Daniel Bartman. Obviously, we were used to him for being quite a reliable goalkeeper in the past 4 or 5 seasons in the Championship, but I think more recently has been dropping a couple of clangers. He has officially joined Deportivo La Corona from the La Liga 2 on a loan transfer. This one I think will be an interesting signing, and I think this will be a better signing for Deportivo, who will be trying to get back to the first division, because I associate Deportivo La Corona as a La Liga side, not a La Liga 2 side, which they have been for the past couple of seasons and now. So I sense a little bit of ambition for them to try and jump up the league again. And for West Brom's point of view, they've been really busy. 2 ingoings and 2 outgoings. The outgoings I'll talk about first, because I don't think they really do too much to the team. Gianluca Frambotta, he has joined Sassana from Serie B for a free transfer. And Tibor Hegem, he's a centre-back, 26 years old. The Norwegian actually joins Bologna, undisclosed. So 2 transfers to Italian leagues, one from Serie B and one from Serie A in this point of view there. The ingoings, Christian Bielik. That one actually surprised me a little bit. He has left Birmingham and he has joined West Brom on an undisclosed fee on a 3-year deal. And I think West Brom are going under the radar as well, alongside with Middlesbrough, with some really savvy business. West Brom, of course, have started the season well with 2 wins in a row. Isaac Price especially looks such a prodigy, a brilliant transfer so far. And I think Bielik, with the experience he has at this level, if he's kept fit, he could be game changing. And another player I briefly talked about in my rumour section last week was Toby Collier. Now, I didn't actually throw West Brom into the mix, if I remember, when I was discussing where he could be going. I think it was actually Sheffield Wednesday who were actually looking at him, but he has joined West Brom, 21 years old, Manchester United player. He's a loan transfer, which doesn't surprise me, and I'm liking the fact that West Brom are trying to go for more control in that midfield. I think that was a weakness that was exploited in their last game against Wrexham, so I think now with those players coming in, there's now a lot more options now that they could incorporate into that midfield to try and win back control in the middle of the park. So I think West Brom have been really clever with their business at the moment, and I'm really pleased to see them doing well as a result of it at this moment in time too. Final club to talk about ingoings is Wrexham. So this is the third player that Ipswich have let go this week. Nathan Broadhead. So the Welshman has officially joined Wrexham. I mean, there were pictures of him having a Wrexham shirt when he was younger. I feel like it was his boyhood club. It did make sense to me. Reportedly £10 million. I think that might be a little bit high, but Ipswich fans will certainly take that fee. 27 years of age, hasn't had a huge amount of championship experience, but has proven to be good at this level when he did get Ipswich up from the championship 2 seasons ago. So I think it will be an interesting one for Wrexham. It will offer something different with their midfield as well, and wide areas there. So I think just another attacking option for Wrexham there. Some who I think could be pretty long-term signings and some short-term. I've seen Broadhead being a little bit of a more of a long-term signing just due to his age as well. So a potential good one for Wrexham's point of view there. Certainly they will be needing, I think for me, defensive reinforcements more than anything. I think their attack actually looks quite good already, but it's their defence that's laying them down at this moment. To concede 5 goals already this season and 0 points, that could be what might cost them to not do as well as they probably should do. In terms of outgoings for Wrexham as well, they've let 2 great players go. Sebastian Raven, he is left on loan to Burton Albion. I think that's a good deal for them. And then Callum Edwards has joined, I think it's Southport, so quite a few divisions below, all the way down to the National League North, on a loan transfer as well. So it sounds a little bit bizarre, but I think a good transfer for Southport's point of view there. Okay, so those are all the ingoings since my last video, a little bit shorter than normal. If I've missed anyone out, please let me know in the comments. But now, let's talk through the rumours. So the first rumour I want to talk about is Middlesbrough, who are looking really savvy in terms of their business at this moment. They are looking like that they are about to announce the transfer, I should say, of Severe Naipan from Manchester City on loan. I think that's quite an exciting transfer with what he has had to offer. I think he can certainly prove to be a good impact in terms of where the squad is with Middlesbrough at this moment of time. Another rumour, Abdul Fataru. So, he was quite a prominent subject with Leicester recent game against Preston. He was one of the many players that Leicester fans were not pleased in terms of his performance. I think it was really conflicting in terms of how he was playing. Quite ineffective. I mean, the whole Leicester side, if you put them on paper, should be anyone, but the players are certainly underperforming at this moment of time. A little bit concerning with how below par they've been. There's been interest for Sunderland, who have announced so many signings now. I think they've made up to 9 different signings, and it's reported the fee's going to be around £28 million. So could Leicester agree the deal and reinvest that money elsewhere to get players in? I feel like Leicester at this moment of time need to catch up on things. I do think Ipswich, Southampton and Leicester have really left it quite late to get their finalised versions of their squads out at this moment, and as a result, the established championship teams I think have started the season a little bit better. So I will say, if that does mean that there will be an outgoing and a lot of money being raised, I think, you know, Leicester shouldn't be afraid to take that on, because I think right now all 3 newly relegated sides have not impressed me as much as I was expecting them to, and I think a big part of that is still having a pretty unsettled squad. And talking back to Leicester, Bilal El Khanous has been linked with many Premier League clubs, including the likes of Crystal Palace, Newcastle and Tottenham Hotspurs. I mean, there's not really like a preference compared to those three clubs I feel like he should go to. But I think, again, if it means that a lot of money will be raised and it just gets rid of the players that may not have the attitude to play in a championship this season, then ultimately I think that will be a positive move for what Leicester have to do. They just have to react quickly and think of enough options to fill in those gaps. So I feel like we are going to see lots of movement from the three recently relegated clubs in this last 2 weeks. I just, I'm a little bit disappointed with all three of them with how late they've left it. I was hoping that they could actually end their business pretty quickly and be pretty settled with the squad, but understandably there's players that are still, they're still probably trying to hold on for a high amount of money. So at this moment in time, they're probably going to accept that their season's going to start quite slow, but then they'll be hoping from September onwards, when the transfer window ends, they can start really taking teams on. Now, Sheffield United struggling at the moment. They're currently bottom of the league, but they've been linked with two defenders. Very different defenders in calibre and experience. So one experienced defender is Ben Mee. They've invited him to train with them and have expressed an interest to sign him. 35 years of age, so I don't think he's really going to be the ideal age for a Sheffield United backline, but he can be crucial when he's called upon for experience. But one younger defender that Sheffield United are linked with is Niels Zetterstrom. It does sound like that they have struck an agreement with him. He's currently playing for Swedish side Malmö at this moment of time. And I think that will be a good potential signing for Sheffield United. I think they certainly need defensive reinforcements because right now that is where they're struggling. 4 goals they conceded against Bristol City, 2 against Birmingham in the Carabao, and then 1 recently against the Swansea side that only had a .03 XG in their previous game. So clearly defence is where they're struggling at this moment, and I think if this transfer does materialise, as I think it was Fabrizio Romano who originally said that deal was done. If it does go to happen, then I think that will be an interesting move, and I'll be glad that Sheffield United are making moves to their defenders now. Another player that's been linked with multiple clubs is Maccabi Tel Aviv defender Tyrese Asante. Now, this is the player that Ipswich are linked with, and Coventry have also expressed interest as well, but it's Ipswich who have most recently have been following his every move. I think that would be interesting, but it's a defender. I personally think the defence is not entirely problematic from Ipswich's point of view. I still think midfield, they need one player. I think the fact that Kajusta's comeback is massive. I think that does dramatically improve things, and I'm really glad that there's someone like Villagine now back in the squad as well who could go down there as well. But I think at this moment of time, I'm not seeing enough goals in this Ipswich side that's going to give me the confidence that they're going to get out of the Championship. So if I was an Ipswich fan, I would be wanting to see more movement and more ambition for goals, because this might sound controversial. I don't think George Jesus has gained 20 goals. I would say if he gets 15, that would be exceeding his expectations. Now, Tom Fellows is a good West Brom player. He's been linked with Everton, and this has been recently building up with the fact that Everton are struggling to entice Tyler Dibbling out of Southampton. Does that mean that Tyler Dibbling might actually stay on as a Southampton player? It seems unlikely, but he has featured a couple of times for Southampton this season so far, so I wouldn't rule it out, but it does feel a little bit unlikely still with the fact that there's still 2 weeks in this window. But Tom Fellows, if he does leave West Brom, I think that will be a little bit of a blow. He has proven to be a real threat down the wing, so I think West Brom would prefer to keep Fellows on, but if they do have to get rid of him, I would trust their recruitment strategy at the moment to find someone to get into his place, because I do think West Brom's transfers have been really good, really. So it will be an interesting one to see if Everton are desperate for players. I mean, they didn't put in the best of performances against Leeds, so I do think their squad is still a bit of a work in progress. Now, there's been speculation of Wrexham trying to sign Pedro Lima from Wolves. The Brazilian player is not guaranteed first team football with Wolves, and actually there has been movement from Wolves to get a player in his position, so it's even more likely that Lima will have to search for football elsewhere. I think that will be an interesting move for Wrexham, and I think it will finally strengthen an area that they've needed to in more of a wide back or full back area. So I do think this is a positive move for Wrexham. We need to see a little bit more of that, especially improving with their defensive line. And then the final rumour which I found is relating to Southampton. So they have opened interest to talk to Morgan Gianluigi. I'm always picking the players which have the most difficult surnames to pronounce. So he's currently in Lens, but he wasn't playing in Lens last season. He actually was out on loan at St. Pauli and did a really good job there. So Southampton, I don't think are short of attacking options, but certainly at this moment of time, it's clearly someone that still has looked and observed from, you know, his previous managerial reign. So he's a big fan of his. So do get him in. I think that will be a very interesting signing, and I hold trust that we'll still can integrate a player like Gianluigi into their squad, and it will naturally allow Southampton to improve as well. I think Southampton's point of view, their squad is still pretty strong. I just think it's the whole sort of cohesion thing, and I think it's still the uncertainty of someone like Mateus Fernandes and Tyler Dibling staying on that is going to make things a little bit difficult for that squad to function. I think, to repeat my point, I think September onwards, I think the 3 recently relegated teams will be a lot better. Okay, so that wraps it up for all the rumours and all of the transfers that have happened in the transfer show. So that concludes the transfer show 9th episode. If you guys enjoyed it, please do give it a like. It really does help. Please do subscribe to the channel too. It really does help. It's free to do and it only takes 2 seconds. And please share the channel too. All of that really does help as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary for starting this video. And as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.